We begin tonight talking about expectations. The Canes fan always has an expectation of winning every game, and that's the way that it should be. But let's make one thing clear tonight as we begin this new edition of CaneSport Live. There were no misplaced expectations coming into this season. The 2022 edition of the Miami Hurricanes are going to play 12 games this season. There's not going to be one of them, not a single one, where they will walk onto the field and not have a chance to win. So there's nothing wrong with driving to the stadium or turning on your television set with the expectation that Miami is going to win that game that day. Because the Hurricanes can win it. They always could win every single one of them. Did the Canes look outclassed to you in College Station or on Saturday at Hard Rock Stadium against North Carolina? Not the least bit. But there also is a reality that we have been dealing with for many, many years here, and that is a lack of elite talent in the program. When you don't have elite talent in the program, you are going to be in a lot of close games. When you're in a lot of close games, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. So yeah, what we are watching this year is an extension of what we've been watching for the last 2 decades. It's same plus same equals same. The margin of error is just really, really thin in these games, and it's not going to change until there are more elite players in the program. And that's where Mario Cristobal comes in and why he absolutely is the right head coach for this program at this point in time. So I would question those who want to jump all over Cristobal because they're witnessing the exact same thing that they witnessed under previous regimes. Manny Diaz, Mark Richt, Al Golden, same plus same equals same. Cristobal did his best to fortify the roster. Had Cristobal not slayed the transfer portal the way he did, we would have come into this season thinking, can they get to 5 wins anyway? Now sitting here at 2-3, we don't know where this is going from here. We're going to have a pretty good idea, I think, after Saturday at Virginia Tech, a game that obviously Miami must win. But with this thin margin of error, for example, at Texas A&M, you couldn't get away with a muff punt that gave them a cheap touchdown. You couldn't get away with 2 missed field goals, the drop balls, all the other mistakes that were made in that game. Against Middle Tennessee, you certainly couldn't get away with spotting those guys 38 points. I don't care how bad they are. I don't care how bad they've been beaten by everybody else they've played. You spot them 38 points, your chances of coming back and winning that game are minuscule. 4 cheap touchdowns through the air in that game. You work 2 weeks on it in practice, spend an inordinate amount of time on defending the deep pass, and then you come out against North Carolina and you give up 2 of them, and probably your best defensive back is responsible for it. You know, we're not looking to throw anybody under the bus here, but there's a fact that if your best players are not performing and you already have a thin roster, your chances of winning any game are not real good. And how about Jalen Knighton fumbling again with Miami driving late in the game? It's supposed to be one of the best players on offense. So, you know, when your best players on a team that already doesn't have elite talent aren't coming through, your chances are not real good. So that's one thing that we are going to have to reconcile tonight as we begin a new edition of CaneSport Live. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, and I welcome you once again to CaneSport Live. As always, it's your show. It'll be driven by your participation. The call-in number is 563-999-3550. That's 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. So Obviously, Saturday is an important day for the Hurricanes, just like last Saturday was an important day. But if you look back at the last 11 years, these losing streaks, like the current 3-game losing streak, have become way too much business as usual at Miami. Would it surprise you to know that prior to 2006, the Miami Hurricanes never lost more than 2 games in a row? Dating all the way back to 1999, that team lost 3 games in a row but finished 9-4. Or that this program has lost 2 or more games in a row every single season since 2011? In that 11-year span, there have been streaks of 3 or more consecutive losses 8 times, including this year. You got 3 in a row right now. In 2019, they lost 3 in a row. In 2018, they lost 4 in a row. In 2017, they lost 3 in a row. 2016, 4 in a row. 2014, 4 in a row. 2013, 3 in a row. And 2012, 3 in a row. Explain that. That's 11 straight seasons with consecutive losses each year. It's absolutely unfathomable, and it speaks to the challenge ahead for Cristobal, and don't even begin to say it's an excuse. It's not an excuse. It is reality. This is what Mario is trying to overturn in this program. A culture where losing consecutive games, 3 consecutive games, 4 consecutive games is standard operating procedure. People talk about Miami being back. Miami can't be back until it learns that this is not acceptable. And yes, the players can do something about it. They can fulfill their responsibilities better and not give up all those cheap touchdowns. I mean, when have you ever seen a team give up 6 touchdowns in the secondary in 2 weeks on deep balls like that? I can't remember ever seeing it ever in my 4 decades plus, certainly of covering the Hurricanes, and longer than that, watching football. I can't remember ever seeing it. Okay? So, that's the challenge. In the meantime, a positive from Saturday was the resurgence of Tyler Van Dyke. And my guess is Josh Gaddis would prefer not to throw the ball 57 times. Let's be honest. He said as much this week. They got to get a running game going again. They got to get the backs and the line working in tandem. I don't think it's, it looks like it's the offensive line's fault. But from what I can gather in my own film study and stuff, it looks to me like the running backs are certainly contributing to this by not making the right cuts, not getting to the right holes. The whole thing is out of sync. They have to improve it. But Van Dyke completed 42 of those 57 passes for 496 yards. And for the first time this year, he resembled his 2021 self. And that is a good thing for the Hurricanes. They are going to need Tyler Van Dyke at that level the second half of this season to start hopefully turning the tide and winning these games instead of losing them, and get to bowl eligibility and maybe even a decent bowl game. They're still capable of winning the ACC Coastal. I looked at North Carolina's schedule. I find it hard to believe they're going to lose 2 games in there, but I guess you never know when you look at the history of the Coastal. So all of that is on the table tonight. So let's go right to your calls. Remember, the number is 563-999-3550. That's 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. All right, I also encourage everybody to use the YouTube comments tonight. We'll be referring to those as well as we go through the show. And you guys posting comments on YouTube will have your say as well. But let's begin tonight in a familiar place on this show in the 941, where you are now live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Hi, Gary. It's Mikester Kane.
What's up, Mr. Mikester? How you doing tonight?
Well, pretty good. Not too bad. Just a couple things I want to talk about. Well, first importantly is I'm in Fort Charlotte, as most of the people on the show already know. We've got hit by the hurricane, and we sustained a lot of damage and cleanup to do, and if we can get some help, we could use all the help we can get. So, I just want to put a shout out to the show. If you're in the 305 or the 954, or wherever you are, and if you can, please come down and help us out. Whether it's cleaning up or tarping a roof or maybe, just donating food or helping FEMA as a volunteer, don't be afraid to step up and help out. There's a lot of work that we've got to get done here. So I'm helping this recovery here. Thanks, Canes Nation. And if you're wondering, I did get some damage. The right soffit on the garage came off. Some shingles came off my roof, but not many. We had some down trees, but my pool cage stayed intact. A few rips in the screen, cuts, like somebody cut it like a knife. But all in all, no broken windows, no storm surge or flooding from massive rainfall. And as a matter of fact, my pool cage got cleaned by a massive car wash. So there you go. That's one positive thing I can say on the show tonight. Now, everybody out there, back to the real world here. But everybody out there needs to listen and understand the situation. And I know this loss is frustrating and it sucks to lose by a field goal after rallying later in the game. But please, don't throw Mario and the coaching staff under the bus. Because I can tell everyone that there's still a long way to go and an awful lot of work to do. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this turns out to be a win-some, lose-some season again. There's still a lot of issues with depth, injuries, shoddy talent evaluation, and bad recruiting. I said last spring and summer that a 10-2 season was possible, but it wasn't guaranteed. If a key player or two gets hurt, like Xavier or Elijah Arroyo, that could possibly be a difference between a 10-2 record and a win-some, lose-some season. Yes, and I include myself, we're all hungry for a great season with a high AP poll and coaches ranking in the polls. But folks out there, we all need to understand that this is not an overnight wave the magic wand fix. If you believe that, then you live in Alice in Wonderland. I hate to tell you that. I used to coach this game, and I know for a fact that those are the best players on the field right now. There's not all that much the coaching staff can do except do the best they can to salvage the season and get us to a bowl game. It's going to be a 3 or 4 years process, maybe longer. Now, Howard Snellenberger, his team lost to FAMU in the fourth game in 1979. Look what happened in 83. Well, he won it all. So, gang, I can tell you this. Rome was not built in a day. So your thoughts, Gary?
Well, I think that, Rome was not built in a day is a good philosophy. But like I said before, Mikester, that they could have won these games. I mean, there's no excuses. And they're going to have an opportunity to win every game going forward. And I'll even throw Clemson in there. I mean, obviously that's going to be a tough out going on the road to Clemson, and their chances of winning are not going to be great. But they're not they're not overmatched in these games. And if they had played a little bit better and hadn't shot themselves in the foot so much, they absolutely could have won these games. So I'm not making excuses. What'd you say?
Well, I mean, I'm not making excuses either. I'm just saying, with this roster here, Gary, it seems like there's a lot of inconsistency. It seems like there's blown blocking assignments, receivers running the wrong routes, or blown coverages. Not being on the same page defensively. That's how I look at it.
I think there's a lot of beating yourself. I mean, what's been going on in the secondary is just inexcusable. I mean, those guys collectively. I don't know, man. I mean, they have, and I'm not big on throwing under the bus and stuff, but those guys collectively as a unit have failed this football team. I mean, you shouldn't give up 6 plays like that in an entire season, in 2 seasons. I mean, they've given up 6 in 2 weeks against Middle Tennessee and North Carolina. And absolutely, you could point to that being the reason they lost both those games. I mean, you know, a lot of attention was on the interceptions early in the Middle Tennessee game, but they really lost that game because of the 4 deep balls that they gave up. And same thing the other day. I mean, there'll be attention on, you know, hey, couldn't run the ball, but, you know, the defense coming out a little slow, that kind of stuff. But, I mean, they lost that game because of those 2 pass plays, in my opinion. And, yeah, and I'm not blaming the coaches because I know the coaches have been working hard on it. And, you know, maybe they got a little bit blindsided against Middle Tennessee. I mean, I can understand if you haven't gone through the wars with saying, you know, DJ Ivy's, to me, is having a really good season, but he had no business being matched in man coverage against that receiver from Middle Tennessee the other day. And, you know, he gave up. Yeah. And then you put a true freshman in the game, Jaden Harris, and he's in a similar matchup, and he gets torched too. You know, so those were flawed. Yeah. That was all flawed, obviously. And, you know, Kevin Steele's had a couple tough moments as a coordinator, no question. But I can't make, you know, there's no excuses this past week. I mean, you know, you're talking about basic cover 2 coverage. I mean, if you play football, even in youth leagues, you play cover 2, Mikester.
Oh, yeah, of course. You know, and you got to be on the same page. I mean, when I saw that deep ball, I mean, I was in the front row, second tier, second or third tier, I think it's the 3rd tier, front row, section 343. I was right there when that pass, when God, what's his name? I think it's Cam Kitchens. You know, he got burned by Downs, I think it was, and they were on the 3-yard line. They were pinned deep in their own territory, the 3-yard line, okay? And I saw Tyreek Stevenson go right in his face and just yell at him. I was hearing what he was, I couldn't hear the words that he was saying, but he was yelling at him. He was yelling and screaming at him as if they weren't on the same page, you know? And I think that's been an issue in these past 3 games, Gary, is those 2 aren't on the same page defensively. I mean, who's got who? What assignment do you have? I mean, you know, come on, geez. You know, you got to be on the same page.
Well, I mean, you know, the safety, if he's got the deep zone, has got to be there. I mean, the receiver is going to get released, you know, to that zone. I mean, every single time, you know. So, look, it is what it is. Obviously, you know, they need to get this figured out here pretty quickly. Right,
Gary. All right, well, I'm going to let you go for now. I got to get to bed early. I got my surgery coming up tomorrow. So.
Oh, man, best of luck to you with that.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot, you know, especially with the hurricane and now this I got to go through. So I'll be all right. Okay, I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks.
All right, we expect to hear you first on the show again next week.
Exactly. I will do my best.
All right, Mikester. You got it, man. All right. We're all with you. Have a great night. All right, 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550 is the number. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out to the 845 now. You are live on CaneSport Live. Hey, how you doing, Greg? Welcome back to the show.
Okay, I don't know where to start, but by the way, your buddy Bruce on the show the other night, the recap show, saying we have no deep tackles. Our 2 highest ranked players this week were deep tackles, Jackson and Taylor. So what the hell are you talking about? And do we really need to play 6 defensive tackles? Why aren't those 2 playing the bulk of the game?
You know, I've been screaming that all year, Greg.
It's ridiculous.
I've been screaming it all year. I don't disagree. You know, you're already talking about a team that's not real deep, that doesn't have elite talent. to me, the best players must be on the field on defense, and I'm not sure that's always been the case, and sometimes they're getting caught, like they're trying to substitute them back in a running situation. But if the other team doesn't substitute and they're going up tempo, they don't have time to get them on the field. So they're getting caught sometimes on critical plays without their best players on the field. And I haven't seen anybody leaving the field exhausted yet this season. So if I were being counseled, I mean, that would be one suggestion I would make, is on the defensive side of the ball, up front, more Jackson, more Taylor. Messidor seemed to play a little bit more the other day, but I still think he should be playing even more. I know he's kind of been banged up at different times this year. Agude looked very, very good to me. I know they like Jafari Harvey a lot, but you can't play everybody all the time. And I just think that the guys that are performing the best need to be out there more. And you don't need to play as many guys as they're playing. I love seeing Nigel E. Kelly get experience right now and all that, but when you're in a tight game, I'm not sure that's the time, man. I mean, it's like I'm just not sure it's the time. I don't. But look, I mean, he's going to be a very good player. But is he Messidor now? Is he Agude now? I don't know that. Is he Jafari Harvey now? Does he have that physicality and strength? I mean, I don't know that I could say that. And I would like to see them tighten it up a little bit rotation-wise on the defensive line. I think it would make the defense better.
All right. Okay. Have you seen any improvement in the offensive line with Mirabal and Cristobal and this Aaron Fell, the strength coach? We can't punch it in from the 2-yard line? Well, what is that about? What the hell is...
I mean, I have my...
I thought we were working big. We're strong. What's going on, Gary?
Greg, I have my theory on that. My feeling was that the Texas A&M game was really, really physical, and those guys came out of that game really beat up, and they're not used to that. That was not a level of physicality that we had seen in this program. I can't remember how long. I mean, in all honesty, hats off to them and the way they competed and the way they played. They ran for 171 yards, I believe, in that game. Were very physical. A&M had more depth than Miami had that night, and it showed after the game. And I think that there was a hangover from all that soreness and pain. I really do, in the Middle Tennessee game. And I think that they went into that game with the mindset that we do not have to play as hard as we played last time, and we don't have to hurt as much as we hurt last time. And this is kind of like a vacation week. And before they knew it, they were down and they were spotting those guys, like I said, 38 points, and they never were able to flick the switch and really get it going. And that's what I think happened there. I know people still be some guys that'll be out there yelling, "Oh, Gary's making excuses." I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to come up with an explanation for what we're seeing. And last week they lose 2 starters after already being down 1 starter. Is this offensive line deep enough to withstand 3 injuries? I don't know, man. I mean, I would say maybe not, and so I think there's a lot of things contributing. I think the running backs are not, they're beat up. I don't think they're having a great season. Even in the Texas A&M game, they had 171 yards. I thought Parrish was spectacular, ran real hard, but there was one play where Knighton missed a cut. He had a walk-in touchdown that might have made a massive difference in that game, and he missed the cut and got tackled by the shoelaces. And so he's not having a very good season, I'll tell you that. I wouldn't even say he's 50% of what he was last year. I'm sure being hurt is contributing to that, but he is not the same Jalen Knighton. And so you put it all together with a team that just doesn't have any margin of error, and I think you got what you're seeing.
All right. My last point. Mario's supposed to be such a great recruiter, okay? Where are all the great players in the NFL from Oregon under Mario Cristobal? Where are they, Gary?
Well, I think you got to remember that really his first true class, Greg, is this year, and to a little bit of an extent last year. If you're talking about guys that he recruited into that program, I mean, so I think I haven't taken a tally. Quite honestly, I have not looked. I could not care less how many Oregon players are getting drafted right now, but I know their team is pretty good, and I know they got destroyed by Georgia, but since then they've been pretty good under a new coaching staff that inherited all the talent that Mario left behind, and they're certainly further along than Miami is right now. And I don't think I would be looking to poke holes in Mario, Greg. I mean, Mario is the hope for this Miami program right now. Okay, he is the guy that's got to get this done, and I get it. We all like to be critics. When games aren't being won, we all want to scapegoat people and point fingers and all that. I wouldn't point him at Mario Cristobal. He is absolutely the right guy to be leading this program. It is going to take some time. You hope it takes 2-3 years at Oregon. He went from 4-8 team that he inherited. In 2 years, they won the Rose Bowl. Okay, so it can be done in 2 years.
Yeah, he had Justin Herbert as quarterback.
Well, here he's got Tyler Van Dyke, who's not Justin Herbert, but who's a pretty good quarterback. Hopefully, if it becomes necessary to go to Jake Garcia, his development continues. You got Jaden Rashada coming into the program next year, Emory Williams. So there's quarterbacks. There's a chain of quarterbacks that are lining up to be in this program. They're not Justin Herbert. We're not going to say that yet. You hope that Tyler Van Dyke can continue to develop. I think it's looking fairly obvious that he is going to have to come back next year. We don't know what that's going to mean for Jake. But look, I mean, it comes down to recruiting, Greg. They are recruiting like maniacs. It is a huge priority. And they're doing relatively well to this point. It seems like the guys that they have committed right now are holding together. Will that stick for another 2 months? 100%? I don't know, but right now they're saying the right things. They're reaffirming their commitments. They're showing up down here for games. So you can feel good about that at least. I know the losing stinks, but I think you can feel pretty good about that.
Just remember, we were picked to win the Coastal this year.
I know that.
So if we lose to Clemson, North Carolina has to lose three
games. I know. It's probably not happening, Greg. That was a big loss the other day. No argument. All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show. As always, appreciate you participating. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out now to the 757. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Well, if it ain't old Gary, man, it always got to throw the chip to think at people. Hey, Gary, let me tell you something, man. I don't care about all this loss. All I care about is how you come down and say Tyler Van Dyke is the best player on the team. Not even close in hell. We ain't got a best player on the team. And you always jump on other people, but you never really dog him. Let me say something. 500 yards, he shouldn't have been no player of the week. I mean, the ACC did it. So he had a decent game. But man, I am so sick of this crap. He's okay. He's showing his color. He's showing everything. Our offense ain't good. Wide receivers ain't good. And the young boy, Jacoby or whatever, came off, not Jacoby, the boy, the JUCO came off the bench for the TD. It's not the players. We played 5 games, right, Gary? Out of all them games, only one team supposed to have more talent than Miami. That would be Texas A&M. Everybody else execute better than us. So what y'all been seeing in practice, why they not taking it to the game? Now, I know they banged up. You're going to get them that. But it seemed like after the Texas A&M game and all Canes Nation and everybody said, hear the truth. It's like those sales just left. Everything done left the building. What the hell is going on? After Texas A&M, they played good. We had real hope of being decent. they start riding them damn cheese and stuff. Nobody want to hear that. I don't know what's going to happen, but we don't have no outstanding Taliban. That is not the best player on the team. That's my opinion. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but you know, you got your insight. And stop talking about Kitchens because he got lit up. And Kitchens got lit up, but Kitchens been one of the best damn players in Miami this year and part of last year. So don't call my boy Kitchens no more. That's my boy from no. I don't play them games.
Kane.
You don't dog. You got a dog, man. You need to them 4 games that he played as a I ain't got to say everything. Go ahead, say what you got to say. I'm pissed off. Damn, you lost. We'll be all right. I'm mad with you because you always find a hit on them other places. You don't want to hit on TBT like he should be getting stomped on sometimes. So what about if he come back and play bad against Tech? What you gonna say then? We're injured, offensive line. What you gonna say?
Kane, if somebody plays poorly, I mean, all we can do is comment honestly about it. I mean, I'm not quite sure.
But you'll kill other players. They never really kill TBD. Now tell me if I'm lying. If I'm lying, I'm flying. Damn, I can't fly. I'm too fat. That's for sure. Ain't no flying here. Tell them to execute. Now, you've been to practice. They're not executing the game. Even Bethune Cookman, we struggled, but we blew them out. Some of this, whoever was we played, we struggled, but we blew them out. We got better talent than most of these teams since the Texas A&M. And I know y'all say we need receivers. That's a damn lie. Running back here, we banged up. I'll give you that. Offensive line, we banged up. But we have the talent on this team. That's why I get tired of him. We got to recruit. Of course he's doing his recruiting. You got to recruit, but still. And you got more talent than them 4 to 5 teams, and you done struggle with 2 of them and lost to them. You struggle with everybody. And even Texas A&M, but that was supposed to happen. So we just saying looking like a good team. That what they said against the team that beat us 2 weeks ago. They said they look like they was on the sideline and won't amped up. Man, we need to be amped up. Well, the players need to be amped up for every game they play. Because now I'm scared. I said we'll go to the playoffs. I lost. I said we'll win the ACC. Now that y'all are good, we got to beat Clemson. I said I lose. But damn, there's got to be light at the end of the tunnel. It ain't this year, but next year things got to be better. But I still got hope. If they can click and get it right and get some players back, I think we'll be all right. I ain't gonna never shit on the game. I don't do it to the Dolphins. I don't do it to the Georgetown Wood. My teams are my team. So I don't care, Nathan, Greg and Meister Kane, and ain't too much to say, man. We just got our ass here. We'll be better. It's Austin Blacksburg. New something. Don't get it. So let's make it happen. Hey, Gary, stay off my players, baby. We're going to be all right. Love you, man.
Kane, let me ask you a question. Nobody's looking to be on players, but if you're analyzing a game and guys screw up, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, but Taliban got him looking good the first 4 games. You never really got on him. But you were killing Kitchen. You was on Kitchen. And you said TBD was the best player. He's not. Yeah, he's not. But I tell you what, I'm going to make a promise to you. If he shine in Blackburn, I'm going to call you and apologize. But baby, if he don't shine, you better run to the hill because Kane can't come and play. Matter of fact, I'll fly out there, especially November 4th when we play Florida State. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm coming. I don't care if we lose all our games in that game. That game is so important to me because I can stand FSU. I hate Ohio State, but I don't like FSU, but I can deal with this. I will be at that game. But if he does good Saturday, man, I'll leave him alone. And I will mark my word, apologize.
All right, Kane, thank you, man. Thanks for being part of the show, as always. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Like, if a guy doesn't do his job and gives up a deep ball, you know, it's like you got to talk about it. You know, I mean, I don't think anybody likes the idea of throwing anybody under the bus, but big plays like that, they got to be talked about. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We're going now to the 985. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Gary, Swagger for life, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Swagger? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay, man. Listen, the coaches during their press conferences you had on the website today, those guys look like they've been hit by a Mack truck. I'm not buying any of this stuff about the players. Don't get on the players. The last caller just said don't get on the players. Man, look, Tyler Van Dyke came out of his shuttle this week because after the bye week, they made an adjustment on offense to go up tempo. Josh Gaddis made an adjustment. If you go back and watch the UNC game, you can see what I called on the board just this fascinating tug of war between philosophies of the coaching and what the players want to do. And the microcosm of that was that goal line stand that went nowhere three plays in a row. You got an up tempo. They made the adjustment. Went up tempo. Tyler Van Dyke got his yards. They get down to the goal line on that drive. Then they go in tight. What happens when they go in tight? 3 straight plays. Too long to get hurt. First down, second down. Too long to get hurt. All right. I mean, how does that happen? Where does that happen in college football anywhere? It's crazy.
There's a lot of things going on that are crazy, no doubt about it.
These guys, look, I'll submit to you this. There is a big disparagement right now between coaching philosophy and, let's call it, the type of player that's on this roster. Gaddis and Cristobal don't want to run that up-tempo stuff. They didn't start out like that at the Texas A&M game or Bethune or Southern Miss before that. Philosophically, they don't want any part of that. But because they have no choice, because TBD is an up-tempo rhythm, catch them before they get these time to step out the quarterback, that's when he gets on fire type of guy, they have to do that stuff. And if you go back and watch the game, there were a couple of times during the course of the game where you could see the coaches, especially offensively, trying to go back to what they really wanted to do. At those times in the game, okay, they stalled. TBD couldn't handle it. Couldn't read the defense. Couldn't pick them apart. Whatever you want to say. I'm not even going to get on the running game. So the question I've had on the board for the past few posts is Tyler Van Dyke Player of the Week, 500 yards, great, wonderful. But given his style of play, is he necessarily the best fit for this particular coaching staff at the University of Miami now? Because Mario and Gaddis don't want the Lashley style offense. They want a power run game where they want to get physical and they want to, control the line of scrimmage. Mario has gone back to it. If you watch his interviews, WQAM, what he said again and again and again, damn it, you got to knock people back whenever you get the opportunity. Guess what? They're not doing that. They have got to be going crazy at the Carroll Soper Center right now with what I'd say they know now they inherited. And here we go, Gary. You're going to get on me. I tend to agree, not all the way, but with most of what Matt said.
You're kidding me.
In the beginning as, what's that?
I said, you're kidding me.
And look, this was framed in the beginning, and Mario was going to come in and be the savior and all that. And look, again, it should have been framed, and I get it. Mario's alma mater. He bleeds orange and green. He's not going to come in and say, look, this is going to take a minute. He's saying it now. He didn't say that at the beginning of the season when, we were starting out and, we're going to be a power offense and all that. He's got deer in the headlights look right now going, okay, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. This is going to take some time. I mean, to me, it's obvious. Kevin Steele was asked today, but on the defensive side of the ball, Kevin Steele was asked today, have you ever had that in your coaching career? I think you asked the question maybe. Have you ever seen that in your coaching career, having this many deep pass plays? And I think Kevin Steele said there were 6 of them in the past couple of games. You said no, flat out no.
I know, I've never seen it.
I don't. People are going to disagree. I don't think that there's. Look, Manny Diaz ran a country club. That's not Mario. I don't think that there is a, and you can call it beat up or whatever. I don't think that there is a buy-in from this roster in Mario / Gaddis / Steele way of doing things. I don't think there is. I think they're trying to mask it. I think they're doing the best they can on game day. And that's one of the reasons why I posted. I think you'll see wholesale changes come the off season. And I mean, I know you laughed at that, but
No, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at one of our subscribers, Jason J. Collette, who made a joke on the comments. It was pretty funny.
I just don't look. You can adjust these players all you want, but coaches have their philosophies, man. And as well as coaches don't change their coaching philosophy.
Swagger, let
Like to do that.
me just chime in on what you're saying. I think you're making a legit point. Maybe in the ideal world of Josh Gaddis and the offense he likes to run, you have maybe more of a mobile quarterback than Tyler Van Dyke. This is, not a pure passing type of offense. I wouldn't call it that. But I think he's adjusting. I mean, he threw the ball 57 times last game, and it was effective. They threw for almost 500 yards.
Do you think they run? I mean, you said it earlier. Do you think they wanted to throw the ball 57 times? Red last year wouldn't have minded throwing the ball 50 to 57 times.
Yeah.
That's his style of offense.
No, there's no way they want to do that. No chance.
No. They want a balanced attack where they're controlling the line of scrimmage and making big plays. Now, they don't have the roster to do that because they just don't have difference makers out there on the field.
Yep. No doubt. I mean, you've heard me talk about that a lot, Swagger. I mean, the thing that happens is when you don't have difference makers, every game is going to be close. Mario talked about it the other day, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But when you don't have guys that change the game, every game is going to be close. And if you look back at even the great Miami teams, they all had close calls, but the difference was, Ed Reed would make a play, or Willis McGahee would make a play, or Frank Gore would make a play, or Dorsey would hit Shockey. And, you know what I'm saying? It's like there was always somebody who was great there to make a play. And you don't have that right now, and you're in win some, lose some mode. There's no other way getting around it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And look, where I kind of side again with, I'm going to call it the Chodell theory. Where I side with that is I don't see an issue right now with where we are at 2 and 3, saying, okay, this is what we are. Why don't we start putting in some younger guys? And they mentioned it today for the first time. Why don't we start seeing some roles for some younger guys to start assessing what we have on this roster so we can basically know going into the offseason, at least have a better picture.
All right, so
what kind of talent we've got.
So when you and Matt go to happy hour or dinner or wherever you go to celebrate agreeing on the issue, what are you going to have to say when they lose games because of that? I mean, I know they're losing now. They're not planning on losing the next 7. Okay, they're hoping to win enough of the next 7 to get to a decent bowl game. I mean, they do.
We are 2 and 3 with losses to Middle Tennessee.
I understand. Throw Middle Tennessee out. You'll never be able to explain what happened against Middle Tennessee. Swagger, throw it away. Forget about it.
Throw away what?
Throw away Middle Tennessee. You'll never be able to explain what happened in that game. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. I mean, if you look at what that team has done in other games and how badly they've gotten beat by the teams they're getting beat by, how in the heck they came to Hard Rock Stadium and beat the Miami Hurricanes? I mean, you'll never be able to explain that ever in your life.
But Gary, did it happen? We watched it.
Of course, it's the most bizarre thing, ridiculous. Yeah, but
that right there is that's exactly what I'm saying. How do you come off of a game? And, you know, I hear all this. Oh, they were beat up. They put it all in on Texas A&M game. They came out of that, hurt. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of hearing that. You're a football player. I mean, you've got to show up to play these games, man. I mean, how can you go into a game like that and just lay down like they did? Talk about there's no explanation for it.
There's none.
Explanation for it. I mean, look.
Here's what I'm saying. You talk about not playing your best guys for the sake of developing for the future, and you're talking about losing more games. And like we're sitting here right now, we listen, Swagger. We have no idea what they're going to do the rest of this year. We have no clue, but I do think they better put their best players on the field if they want to win some of these games. And I don't know that they're always doing that.
Let me ask you a question, Gary. Do you believe that the best players on this roster, Tyler Van Dyke's 500 yards included, are going to win out the rest of these games? 100, Clemson, Florida State, Pittsburgh.
Not likely, not likely. But at some point, you are going to get Restrepo back. At some point, hopefully, some of these guys do get healthier, and maybe you're a little bit better in a few weeks. If they can just listen, you got Virginia Tech, Virginia Tech, Duke, Virginia. Okay, find a way to win these three.
They're horrible.
Well, I know, I understand, but just find a way to win those games. Get yourself to 5-3, and then let's see where they're at. Okay, I mean, I don't think they could sit here and try to see what predict how they're going to be playing in November. You got to get through October first. And you got to win these games. So let's see what happens. All right, Swagger, thank you so much, man. Great talking to you as always.
Appreciate it, Gary. Thank you.
You got it, man. We'll catch up with you next time. 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. YouTube commenters, I'm going to get to you in a minute. Let's go to the 706. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Good evening, Gary. This is Sebastian. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Sebastian? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Not to say I agree with your last caller, but I was listening to the morning show and I heard Matt, and he's been kind of beating drums saying we should play some of these younger players, and I understand where you're coming from, Gary. Try to get the best season that you could possibly get.
100%.
And so I'm all on that. But what I remember, what I recall is, I remember the challenges that Butch Davis had to go through. He inherited a much more talented roster. But that second year they went 5-6, if I recall. And I remember he played a lot of players, played a lot of young players. He had run some players off. And I just think there's some positive that comes along with that. And here's what I mean. These players that we have right now don't seem like they're hungry or passionate to the degree where you think where they just wear the uniform, they'll show up on the field and they'll just win. And win, the price to win is a lot more than what it used to be. Because there's so much parity out there in college football right now that most teams have good players, good enough players for you to be able to win. What it comes down to in the very end is that hunger, that drive, and that tenacity of wanting to win. And I don't know. I just feel like, why aren't we playing some of these younger players? Because when I see some of these older players that's getting on the field, like I don't understand the rationale.
like when I see, I can't think of his name, like when I see Steve get on the field, I'm asking myself, for even if it's like a play or two, why couldn't that be the same? You know, much more athletic, a lot more speed. Maybe you can.
They got to get him to the point where he knows what he's doing. That's all it is. I mean, yes, he's clearly a better athlete. They got to get him to the point that he can make those snap decisions when he's on the field. Once they do, he'll be playing. They've been progressively getting him out there a little bit more each game. So they, trust me, they believe in Wesley Besaint, and they think he's a big part of the future of the program. They just got to keep working with him and get him to the point where he understands what he's doing out there, and then I think you'll see him more.
But do you not think that those reps, those live reps, and that experience is going to help him just as much as sitting on the sideline?
Not if he's screwing up, man. Not if he's screwing up and costing the team games. No, I don't. I think he's got to know what he's doing if he's going out there.
I asked that question because, I mean, he shows the flash, the speed, the athleticism that our current linebackers don't have. Like, I've seen Nigel Kelly play, when he's on third down pass rushing, I mean, this guy's an animal. I mean, he definitely has, I think, more speed.
But let me ask you a question. Is he more of an animal than Messidor, who's right now playing as well as any defensive end in the country?
Gary, he's not.
Right. Is he more of an animal than Mitchell Agude, and who looked pretty good to me on Saturday? Is Nigel Leak ready to play at a higher level than that right now?
Mitchell Agude did play better this week, but as I look at the other games we were playing against, I think he could have got a little bit more stats. He
might have been banged up a little bit. This team has really been having a hard time physically.
Okay, I'm with you. Let me change something. What I saw from the wide receivers moving forward is kind of encouraging. What discourages me is I don't think why we haven't figured out in the last 3 years that what we have up front is not equipped to handle a three. It's not able to handle a short, large yardage situation. Like, why can't we put Nance Cooper, a much bigger guy, in the lineup if we're going to try to run short yardage? Because the players that we put on the field or we at the goal line is not giving us no push.
They were trying to do that a few weeks ago. I don't remember seeing it on Saturday with Inez. I know they love Inez. Yes, he's a big body. Maybe we'll see more of him as the season goes on. But is he ready to go out there and take a full-time load as like an offensive guard? Probably not. Probably not just yet. But
maybe a third. We're at the goal line, Gary, when we've been getting stuff. Like the next time we get to the goal line, if we run it on first down, man, I'm just turning the television off. I'll be honest. I mean, we don't need to do this. Yeah,
a little bit of overestimation of the talent level and how it's performing right now, I think. And I mean, if you were out and having a beer with Josh Gaddis right now, I think he'd probably admit to that. I mean, listen, they believe in their players. They coach them all week. When he makes those calls, he believes they're going to get the yard. But they're not getting the yard. And you notice in the second half, he just abandoned the running game and just went almost 100% pass in the second half. And listen, he's in a tough spot.
Yeah, you're chasing points, so I'm not going to blame him. I actually thought he actually put a better game plan and had the team playing better kind of moving forward. As you look at the outlook of the season, is 7-5 and a bowl win or 8-4 and a bowl win considered success to you, or do you consider that failure?
8-4 right now would be like winning the Super Bowl, man. I mean, 8-4 right now would be unbelievable. I mean, you would feel pretty good. You would feel pretty good in November if they finish 8-4. Maybe go to that Cheez-Its Bowl or something in Orlando or something like that, or the Pinstripe Bowl, and have a decent bowl game. You would feel like this program won the Super Bowl if they could do that. I mean, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work the next 2 months to do that.
it's a lot of work, but to me, to make it to 8-4 and win a bowl game, or even make it 7-5 and win a bowl game, seems like real success to me. I remember when we won the Cartcrest Bowl with Butch Davis and Edgerton James, and man, I tell you, you just felt like the sky was the limit as far as where Miami was going. Because our nemesis at the time was Virginia Tech. I don't know if you recall. And I felt like we would get much, much closer to being able to get on the field and compete with them and being able to beat them. And we beat them shortly thereafter. My last comment, this is what I want you to just talk about, and then you put me on hold. So we're going up to Blacksburg, we're going to play Virginia Tech. And what I want you to be able to explain to me is when I look at Virginia Tech, it seems like from a physical standpoint, measurables and all, Miami always was in with a much better team. Virginia Tech is going to come with 5'11", 6-foot D tackles, 6'8", 280 pounds, barely 300 pounds, and it just seems like when we look up front, they just seem to really kind of dominate us on that particular level. So, what are your thoughts? I know you've been really, really kind of bullish on mine as far as being able to win this week up in Blacksburg. Do you think we should win that game, or do you think that it's just a win some, lose some? Because I'm like you, if we get to 5-3, then I'm thinking 8-4 would be just amazing.
It would.
Even 7-5 and win a bowl game would be success to me. And just let me know your comments and just kind of keep me on hold.
Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, everything I'm hearing is that the kids have a great attitude. Nobody's packing it in. The coaches are very happy with the effort they're getting. And if that's true, which I don't have any reason to believe it's not true, then I think they have a chance to keep getting better. I mean, I felt like they were better against North Carolina. Those two pass plays, man. I can't remember what actually I can tell you because I've got the stats right here. But if you look at the snap counts, Miami had 71 defensive plays the other day. 69 of them weren't really all that bad, man. I mean, they really weren't that bad. And
can I say one thing, Garrett?
Yeah.
Can I say one thing? I mean, look, I'm with you with the long pass plays. I get it. If we take those away, we probably have a different ball game. But I also have to say, could you give some thought to the fact that when we're at the 1-yard line or the 2-yard line and we can't punch it in, to me, the only time Miami has ever had a good football team is when we're always a good 3rd down and 2 running football team.
well, I mean,
When we can't run them 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, we're never going to be a good football team.
no, you can't be a good football team if you don't do that. But think about the sequence there. I mean, they quarterback sneak it and get down to the half-yard line. Okay, and I believe that was the first down call. And I mean, at that point, why not just quarterback sneak it again? I mean, you're at the half-yard line.
Quarterback sneak it, or while they're thinking you go quarterback sneak it, why don't you play action pass, throw it to the tight end? What I struggle with is it's like we're going to run the football on short yardage situations as if we're trying to prove something.
It is the culture, it is the mindset that Mario Cristobal is trying to create in this program. Yes, we are going to kick your butt.
That's fine.
Okay?
Fine.
And he's not compromising that. He's not going to compromise that because he wholeheartedly believes that to win championships again, they have to get back to that. We are going to physically dominate you. Yes, we're going to throw it around. Yes, we're going to have good quarterbacks, receivers, or whatever. But when we need to pick it up in the running game, we are going to do it. And you know what? In College Station, they played to that level. They really did. I don't understand how you can go to College Station and play to that level, and then you can't replicate it again the next few weeks. I can't wrap my arms around that. And that's why I try to come up with the crazy theory of, guys were really hurting, banged up, maybe their effort level because of that has dropped a little bit. They don't want to feel that way again. I'm trying to put the human element into it. But
no, I get it. But don't let pride get in the way, though. That's all I'm saying. Don't let your pride get in the way where it costs you the ball game. because when you was at the 50, you wanted to pass it then.
Well, but they got to that point in the second half when they threw almost every play. So they did that.
Yeah, they got to that point. But all I'm saying, though, Gary, is that we watch the Virginia Tech game, and we're first down at the 1 yard line, and we run the ball, and we don't make it. I just want you to remember me, because I'm just saying that's when you let your pride get in the way. And I'm just like, why don't you set that aside and just do what you can to try to win it? If you need to throw the ball for that 1 yard, 2 yard, because if we tie the ball game right there at 7-7, even though North Carolina beat us on that 74-yard touchdown pass and whatnot, I think it's a different game. But to be deflated and to come away with no points, it just even with the defense having them at the 1 yard line, I just didn't see the effort and the energy when we felt like we had fight, because the field goal would have been better at that particular point. All I'm saying is Miami football teams are always good when they can run the ball on 3rd and short. When they cannot run the ball on 3rd and short, they're not good. And if you're not a good 3rd and short team, do what you can to pick up the first down. Don't let your pride get in your face. You have a couple more years to ingrain that mindset without being away. Give me a hold. Let me say what.
All right, man. Yeah. Let me let you. Thanks for being part of the show. All right. Let me give a little love to the guys on YouTube here for a minute. Bula Brown, you're pissing me off, buddy. Stop saying that I'm making excuses. Okay. Over the course of all these days, I'm commenting on a lot of things, and I'm evaluating a lot of things. I'm writing about a lot of things. I'm never making an excuse. There is never an excuse, okay? Let me make that clear. So they're not excuses. I'm trying to come up with explanations for what we're seeing on some of these things, and I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm getting a lot of input and different opinions, and I'm trying to pull it all together for you guys and give you insight into what's going on. I am not making excuses. I am never making excuses. All right, now that that's out of the way, what elite coaches have we had since Butch left? Obviously, we haven't had any, and hopefully Mario gets to that point. Bernard Williams is pointing out that Don Chaney is missed. I think Trevante Citizen is also missed. He also says Van Dyke is not a leader. I thought Van Dyke was a leader this past weekend. I thought he was a leader the second half of last year. So I don't know if it's really fair to say that. Jimmy Jam wants to hear from the curmudgeon tonight. I can't make Matt can't work all the time. He starts very early in the morning, and we gotta get him, let him get some beauty rest sometimes and stuff. I can't have him on everything all the time. Although I know he appreciates all the love that you guys are giving him. He appreciates the fan club that has been built up, and we have a lot of fun with it on Good Morning CaneSport. But he can't. He just can't physically do every single show, but he is on Good Morning CaneSport pretty much every morning. Okay, we'll get to some more of those, but let's go back to the calls. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. And let's go to the 808. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Well, how you doing, Gary? It's Norman again.
Hey, what's up, Norman? Aloha.
Oh, good. Aloha to you and all of the other listeners. I think you put it in the best perspective when we came out of the Texas A&M game all beat up. I mean, it was an impressive performance, and I think it just shows how much further this program has to go in terms of strength and coordination. And we saw it on that second Carolina touchdown where it appeared we had them stopped short of the goal line. And there was one of our defensive tackles, I think it was Jackson, not trying to single him out or anything, but he appeared to be just stationary and stood there, and he reacted too late. And so that's an indication that we have a way.
It's an indication of what?
One of the best. Pardon me?
What did you say? It's an indication of what?
It's an indication of how much further we need to go.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Because even though we have guys, So even though we have guys like Feld and his 7 or 8-member staff, you know, the players may have bought into it, but a rebuild takes time, and even strength and conditioning is part of the rebuild. And even against Middle Tennessee, we saw some of our offensive linemen get thrown to the turf, and that's pretty much what I wanted to say. And I think we have the right staff and the right personnel from a staffing standpoint. But it's good. I would say maybe in his third year we'll start to see some relevance and being part of the conversation. And that's all I wanted to say. And I didn't want to take up too much time because I know you have other callers. So you have a pleasant evening.
All right, Norman, thanks for being part of the show, as always. Let's go to the 727. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey,
727, you with us? Going once?
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, sorry, that's Jake from St. Pete.
Hey, what's up, Jake?
The,
How you doing tonight?
oh, not much. Had to the last one out because of the impending hurricane that wound up missing us. But yeah, I wanted to chime in. You know, I've gotten over as best I can the Middle Tennessee State game, but you know, I'm sold on the fact that Mario could maybe make us a 9-3 team or a 10-2 team. But, you know, you have that old saying of yours, same plus same equals same. And, you know, when I look at Mario's history, and I brought this up last year and let me say this with 100%, he is a million times better than Manny Diaz. So I'm not saying this like I want the good old days of Manny Diaz, so don't take it that way. But Mario always does less with more. He never does more with more. He never does more with less. He always does less with more. And
all right, but Jake, let me ask you a question. Let me stop you for 1 second there.
Yeah.
I get it. It's you know, we all point fingers and stuff like that. But you know, what is Mario supposed to do when his secondary gives up 6 cheap touchdowns in Middle Tennessee and North Carolina games? Like, what is he supposed to do? Where is Mario Cristobal breaking down, Jake? I just don't see it. Like I know for a fact that they practiced it and repped it over and over and over again. The guy making the mistakes this past week might be the smartest defensive back on the team. I can't explain why it's happening, but I'm not willing to point at Mario Cristobal on that. And they lost the game because of that, Jake.
In the Middle Tennessee State game, Gary, in the Middle Tennessee State game, they were in straight man coverage.
That's on the coaches.
And they let that happen 4 times.
Yes.
That's on the coaches.
That's on the coaches, no doubt.
But here's my point, is if we think we're going to get to a national championship level, you can't do that. You need to win 13 games in a row, 15 games in a row. You can't let Middle Tennessee State out-strategize you.
I agree. I mean, it's unfathomable what happened in that game. It was a total organizational collapse, no question about it. It starts with the advanced scouts. I can't imagine that the advanced scouts had a true read on the speed of those guys when they presented the scouting report to Kevin Steele and they started game planning for the week. I can't even begin to imagine that they had an accurate read on how fast those guys were. And certainly nobody in the room stood up and said, we can't put DJ Ivey in that kind of coverage. He doesn't have the foot speed. He can't hold up one-on-one with a speed receiver in a foot race down the sideline. We as fans, like, you guys have seen this freaking 10 times in the last 3-4 years. DJ Ivey trying to cover somebody in that exact same situation. Like, we know that is not fair to him. He cannot do it, okay? And he was put in that situation. So yes, that's on the coaches, Jake. That is on the coaches. But this past week was not. Texas A&M was not.
No, and like if I'm being honest, in a vacuum, just that game, I was there. I have season tickets. I go to all of them. That game, I probably could have lived with in a vacuum. Like it was an entertaining game. We were there like on our feet until that interception. That was a little bit of a letdown, but nonetheless, you know that's all fine and good. But like I mean, he is what he is, and he's here, and he'll be better than what we've had in the past. But I just don't see Mario just can't seem to get out of his way. And the other thing is like I don't see. You look at action there.
Jake, you're breaking up on us.
Talking about. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you now.
Yeah, I was talking player progression. One of the guys before brought up, like, you know, he recruited all this talent to over to Oregon and whatnot, but it's not there. I mean, if you look at the roster right now, like, yeah, it's a good team, and that's why I said Mario, can he put together a 9 or 10 win team? 100%. I'm completely sold on that. And to a degree, I'm happy with that. I'd be thrilled to go and watch 10 wins or 9 wins guaranteed every season. But you look at, like, has he ever, you look at his Oregon record recruiting quarterbacks, terrible. His Oregon record recruiting wide receivers. And he recruited some big-time guys out of high school, wide receiver, quarterback, even running back. He doesn't really have a very good record, right?
Aren't their receivers doing pretty well this year?
What's that?
The receivers in their program, I think, are doing pretty well this year, aren't they? I mean, Bo Nix transferred from Auburn. He's doing big numbers over there. I mean, are they all transfers? I have not paid much attention. Okay, well, I didn't pay a lot of attention.
His running backs, the top 2 running backs on that team are transfers this year.
Yeah, well, they lost their 2 best.
USC,
right.
But they got no one behind them. The top 2 guys, like, none of his recruits are even seeing the field on offense. And that's, like, he did a...
Well, they can't all be transfers. I know the offensive line was intact. They were Mario's recruits.
Yeah, he'll get the offensive line repaired. I'm comfortable with that. I really don't see, and, you know, perhaps it's too early in the tenure, but I just don't see him being a championship-level coach. I don't think he's on the level of... unless he's trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You know, we wasted 4 games trying to put this power offense that anybody with a set of eyes could have told you they can't do. You've got personnel limitations, and, you know, we're doing this. I mean, you know, it's just like I was hoping with all the resources and money that they gave Mario that he could at least do. To take your words, like same plus same, but it's like how? I mean, it looks like we could be fighting for a 6-win season this year.
You could.
You know, you got Clemson's probably a loss. Florida State and Pitt are going to be tough as can be. And, you know, the way they're playing, who knows? They get picked off by one of these other lesser teams.
Listen, they can win every game. They can lose every game. They can win or lose every single game left on the schedule.
Yeah,
that's reality.
If they get things right and it looks a little more like Texas A&M, they could do some damage.
No doubt.
That's why I expect. Shadell says it every week. With it would be nice one week to hear an opposing coach say, "Wow, like I didn't see that coming." And for $20 million, I kind of thought that was going to be what we saw this year. I thought we were going to be 10-2.
I'm not sure they have the personnel, Jake. I'm not sure they have the personnel to do what you're looking for. I hear what you're saying, but they're trying to develop guys. Like you saw Colby Young this week just emerge out of nowhere. I mean, they are doing some things right, but I don't know that they have the personnel to be up tempo a whole game and do the things that people want to see. I mean, I think they're trying. I think they're trying to develop guys and keep getting better. Obviously, losing to Middle Tennessee was not in the game plan. Obviously, losing this past weekend to North Carolina, it shouldn't have happened. They outplayed them. They, like I said, those two pass plays and the fumble right there are potentially 21 points in a 3-point game. Okay? 3-point game.
Gary, one quick question. It kind of relates to what you were just saying, but I want your theory or your thoughts, and then you can let me go here because I've been taking up quite a bit of time. But why is it that we think the games are only 40 minutes long? Like every game, including Bethune-Cookman, Southern Miss, it takes 20, 25 minutes for them to realize they're playing football on Saturday. Like, what's going on?
You know, I agree. I do think that is on the coaches. I mean, what happened the other day was they had a game plan to deal with the quarterback's running ability, and it was taking the aggressiveness out of the pass rush. And they figured it out, and they made the adjustment. And from about the middle of the second quarter on, the pass rush was unbelievable. And North Carolina's offense was much less effective than it had been early in the game. So obviously the game plan was the wrong game plan, no question about it. So bad, you know. Well, bad marks for that, and then good marks for making the adjustment and making it better. But you are absolutely correct. You know, that's not good enough because they lost, and they got to be better, no doubt about it. All right, Jake, hey, thank you. Thank you for being part of the show. We'll talk to you next week. Okay, back to the YouTube comments for a minute. Carlos Walker is making the point. Explain how Lane Kiffin is winning the SEC. Carlos, you are 100% correct. Here's one thing, though, that you are not factoring in, and that is Lane Kiffin, I believe, is in year, I don't know if it's 3 or 4. I'd have to refresh my memory on that. He is much further along at Ole Miss than Mario is here at Miami, and he has to go through the rest of the SEC schedule too. So let's see where Ole Miss is at the end. My guess is they will have a couple of SEC losses. That said, he is doing a very good job at Ole Miss, no question about it. Doesn't mean he would have been the right guy for the challenges here at Miami. I believe Mario Cristobal is the right guy. Is it all perfect this year? Absolutely not. It might not be all perfect next year either. It's going to take a couple of years to get the right personnel in the program, get the full staff to where he wants it. Once he is able to do that, I do believe that this program will get back to being in the upper tier of college football. All right, I'll get back to some more of those comments. Let me go back to the phone lines, and let's go to the 386, where you are now live on CaneSport Live.
Hello, yeah. Appreciate you taking my call.
Who's this, Will?
This Will.
Hey, what's up, Will? I thought I recognized your voice. How you doing tonight?
All right, I'm doing fine. How about you?
Doing good, doing good.
What I'm about to ask, all the Hurricane fans that I work with, I talk to in the barbershop, elsewhere, everyone is wondering what I'm about to ask. From Randy Shannon to Al Golden to Mark Rick to Manny Diaz and now Mario Cristobal. All of these coaches came in acknowledging that the talent on the roster needed to be upgraded. So why isn't it getting done?
Well, because they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. They didn't have the recruiting staff, team, or the skills themselves to pull it off, and they couldn't do it. It got to the point with the Manny staff where they didn't even try to recruit the top players in the country like they're doing right now. They didn't feel like they were going to get them. They thought it was a waste of time, so they did all their recruiting in the second tier. Well, you're seeing what we're doing all your recruiting in the second tier does to the program. I mean, it leaves you with a team of players, none of them for the most part elite, nobody that's going to get drafted. Like last year, one guy got drafted in the 7th round. I'm not sure this year is going to be much better. And that is where you are. And then only because Miami can put enough of those players together at one time, which is what they have right now, and be competitive enough to win some, lose some, is it not a total disaster? But you heard me at the beginning of the show. I went through these losing streaks for 11 straight years. They've had streaks of losing 8 times. They've lost 3 games or 4 games in a stretch like they did this year. I mean, it's unbelievable. Think about that. I mean, it's hard to believe. It really is. But it's because of recruiting and not getting in there and winning battles for the top players that make a difference. I mean, look at the game the other day. Will, look at the game the other day. Okay, Colby Young comes in and looks like Michael Irvin, right? And you're sitting there saying, well, where the hell has he been? I mean, how the hell is Colby Young end up being the receiver that you're talking about? Think about this. This is a kid that wasn't recruited very much out of high school. He went to a junior college. He came here late in the summer from a junior college, and now he theoretically is the best receiver on the field for the Miami Hurricanes when you have 5 recruiting classes making up this football team? I mean, this is unbelievable what we're watching, okay? Seriously. I mean, we get to the season, and we all hope for the best, and everybody wants to win games. This is unbelievable what we are watching. Seriously, it is unbelievable.
Okay, hey, like I say, I was, me and, a lot of other people were wondering about it. Now, I have a question for you, and you'll see where I'm going with this. 2 years ago, when we got annihilated by North Carolina, and Manny Diaz said, we was emotionally tired, but yet everyone is making excuses about we came out the North, I'm going to say the Texas A&M game, beat up. Hey, I'm with Mario. I'm with Mario, but it does seem a little like, and I love your show. I appreciate you taking my calls. I like sitting here, listening to what everyone has to say. But it does seem like that, Mario is, getting a little free pass here.
He just got here, man. Like, what's he supposed to do? Let me ask you this, Will. Will, time out. Don't laugh. Listen to me. Let me put it to you this way. Let's say Manny Diaz was still here as the head coach of this team, and you're sitting there in August, and I say, hey, Will, let's go out for a beer. And I say to you, Will, how many games do you think this team can win this year? You tell me you would have said more than 4 or 5. Come on, man. Tell me the truth. There's no chance. We would have been sitting there saying, how can this team get to 5 victories? Well, now we're here sitting hoping that they can get to 5 victories or more. But the point is, if Mario doesn't come in here and put the infrastructure in place, the coaching staff in place, doesn't hit the transfer portal the way he does, and get players like Messidor, who right now is playing as well as any defensive end in the country, doesn't get Darrell Jackson to fortify the defensive tackle position, and all you got there is Leonard Taylor, who's hit or miss play-by-play still, unfathomably cannot put a consistent game together. What are you sitting there saying at the bar as we're pounding down Heineken's and kind of wallowing in our tears over the state of Miami football? We're sitting there saying that we hope this is a 4 or 5 win team.
Yeah, all I'm saying, you would not find a bigger Hurricane fan than me. But the question I'm asking, what happened to Manny when he said we was emotionally tired going into the North Carolina game? What happened to him? He got annihilated.
Got annihilated, right? You haven't heard Mario Cristobal say anything like that. Mario's the last guy that's ever going to make an excuse. Mario's just going to go work harder. If he was working 17 hours a day, he's going to work 19. He's not going to make an excuse.
I hope he get the ship headed in the right direction. Like I say, I ask questions, about, when I come on the show, I ask questions about what's being talked about at the job. So, like I say, you've answered my question. Appreciate you taking my call, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, man. Thanks for being part of the show. In the YouTube comments, James Welford points out Miami has a lot of injuries with not a lot of experienced depth, and ain't that the truth, man? And that makes a difference. When you have to start going deep into a roster where you don't have a lot of depth. You're looking at Parrish, Rooster, Chaney, and Citizen all banged up at running back. And those are all guys you were counting on, man. Like, Citizen might have been the top back by now if he doesn't get hurt. The guy has enormous talent. And he's going to end up probably missing the year. So yeah, I mean there is no doubt about it. A lack of experience takes a major toll. All right, 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out now to the 386. You're live. No, I think that's you, Will, right?
That's me.
Yeah, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. Let's go to the 302. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's up, Gary? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Who's this?
Hey, this is Phil.
What's up, Philip? What you got for us, man?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of calls that today is that.
Try to talk into your phone. I'm not hearing you real well.
Hold on a second. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, much better. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, this is Philly.
All right. Oh, hey, Philly. How are you, man? Hey, thanks for your contribution on our message board every day, man. I really respect your posts a lot. You're clearly very knowledgeable on football, and I just want you to know we appreciate you being on our site. But I can't hear you at all right now, man. All right, hey, listen, get your phone together. I'll come back to you. Let's go to the 917. You're live on CaneSport Live.
What's up, Gary? BK?
Hey, what's up, BK? How you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. Hanging in there. I'm glad I didn't see the game. I missed it. I was at a funeral, but
It's a pretty good game. You might want to go on YouTube and watch the condensed game or something. It was not a bad game.
I don't think I could do it. Knowing that I know what the outcome is, it'll just piss me off. It'll just piss me off. Listen, I listen to a lot of podcasts and things like that. And specifically, Josh Gaddis's name always comes up. And these aren't Miami Hurricanes podcasts. They're saying, Mario, maybe, this might be like a one-year project with the Josh Gaddis thing. For some reason, he has this reputation of not being this genuine, honest, not a very good offensive coordinator. So, why is there so much chatter about this guy? And this guy won the Broyles Award.
Well, he was pretty darn good last year. That's why.
Yeah, well, he hasn't. Well, yeah, that's what I can't wrap my head around. He won the Broyles Award, but everybody keeps saying, well, he's not that good. Jim Harbaugh was kind of calling the plays, or Jim Harbaugh was guiding him, this, that, and the third. So, this might be a one-year project from Miami, switching up coordinators. Everybody loves Mario, but nobody likes this Gaddis guy. I just don't understand it. But real quick,
When you lose, it's hard to win people over. He's the new guy in town.
Yeah.
They're not winning the games. But TVD didn't look right until last week. Then he looked right again. But when you're not winning and things are going wrong, it's it's hard for a new guy to make friends.
yeah. In regards to the receivers, we had a highly touted freshman last year. That came in this year. He's a freshman now. Isaiah Horton. He's a big kid, 205 pounds. I think he's 6'5", 205. What's going on with his development? He was a highly sought after, wide receiver at the time.
I think you might see him a little bit the second half of the season. I think it's starting to click for him, and he has been practicing better. And just like Colby Young emerged last week, one of these weeks you might see Isaiah Horton emerge a little bit. But is he a program-changing talent, though? I'm not going to tell you that. He's along the lines of all these other guys. He's not a program-altering talent. I think Ray Joseph has a chance to be a program-altering talent. I think Robbie Washington has a chance to be a really good player at this level. I think they are trying to recruit better. I think they are, in some cases, recruiting better. It's just, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it all in 1 year. I'm sure they're going to be in the portal looking for a difference-making receiver this year. They will exhaust everything, trust me. But, I do think Isaiah Horton is doing better, and you might see him more the second half of the season.
Okay, what about Chris Briggs?
Don't know, man. Don't know. I mean, how did it? Obviously, Jaden Harris was deemed the best guy ready to play out of the true freshmen. How did that look in the Middle Tennessee State game? I mean, it didn't look real good to me. So I don't know how soon we're going to see those kids, especially the way this has been going. I don't know. I can't answer that one.
You're there, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Mike Roach is not looking all that bad all of a sudden with all the heat he took.
Well, yeah,
he never gave up.
I agree, and it's weird, Coach Adai is supposed to be one of the better defensive backs coaches in the country, but there's something that's not getting through to the guys in that room. They're blowing the whole season, man. I mean, we can sit here and talk about the quarterback and the O-line being inconsistent and all that, and that's all true, but the last two losses are on the defensive back room, in my opinion.
Listen, what I would give for Robert Knowles right now.
Oh man, that's a low blow. Come on, man. You don't do that.
No.
No, man, that's a low blow.
Robert Knowles, he took a beating for 3 years, and his last year he put a good, solid year in. His last year in the program, he was a serviceable, pretty good DB. But he did take a beating for 3 years. But what I would give for a 4-year Robert Knowles right now is crazy. Robert Knowles never did this, though.
Oh, man. Come on, man.
He never did this, Gary. Robert Knowles was better than this. But keep me on, Gary.
All right, man. Hey, BK, thank you. Thank you for being part of the show.
All right.
I think Philly gave up. He disappeared. So let me go to the 305. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Gary. How you doing?
Who's this?
Andy from Aventura.
Hey, what's up, Andy? What you got for us?
I've got a question. How is it possible that a team like Kansas or TCU is probably a better team than the University of Miami with the talent that supposedly, these 4-star kids? If we got great coaching, how is that possible? That are probably better than us.
My honest answer would be I don't think they are, but that doesn't mean that they're not playing their games better. Kansas got beat by TCU this week, but I know they've been playing pretty well. Let's take a look at who they were beating though. Let's see. They beat Houston. They beat Iowa State. I mean, I don't know that these are great wins, but they're eking out victories and winning games. And
the thing is, when the South Florida kids, this has been going over multiple coaching staffs. We lose a game, a big game or something, and then we lose like three games in a row, or it's been happening over and over again.
Yeah, I know. I went through it. It's crazy.
These South Florida kids are prima donnas where if they're not competing for a championship or the championship's out, they kind of lose a little interest in it.
You're making a good point there. Let me tell you what has to stop, in my opinion. And I know I'm going to get somebody angry saying this, but the one thing that I notice is there is way too much smoke blown, up some of these kids' butts before they've done anything in college. And it's a community issue. I mean, it's like a kid's a good high school player at any high school in the community or whatever, and it's just there's an assumption that they're going to be a great player at the next level before they've put in all the work, before they've come to terms with the fact that it is a whole different game on the college level. And no, you're not just walking in to college football and walking into the U and being Ed Reed. It just doesn't work that way, okay? Because you were a good player at Booker T or Central or Chaminade or American Heritage or any of these schools. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to put in the work and you have to make yourself a good player. And I think there's a lot of chatter all the time in the community when it doesn't go well, and it's always got to be the coach's faults and this and that, and it just isn't that way. So I do think that there's a lot of forces that can maybe get better and be a better influence on the whole thing. But it's definitely an interesting subject to talk about and debate, because the fact of the matter is, a lot of the players that are coming out of South Florida are not panning out. And I don't know, is it a Miami thing? Like, is it a thing when they come to Miami, because they're home, there's an entitlement, there's a belief that they've arrived before they've arrived. Maybe they're not working as hard as they should work.
And I think when they lose that expectation that, hey, we got a chance for a championship, and they lose a couple, it just snowballs and something changes, and we just start losing game after game. I don't know. I think there's some character issues. If we got great coaches, and everybody says we have got really good coaches, there should be, we shouldn't be having this kind of effort against some of these teams that that's happening, and it's happening, every year. It doesn't matter who's coaching. It seems like it's the same effect every time.
I'm seeing a lot of kids come into the program and not fulfill the capability that people think that they had when they walked in. Now, whatever that reason is, I don't know. But one thing I have noticed is there's a lot of chatter and noise locally about it. And maybe kids are expecting to walk in and be great, and they're not putting in the time and effort to become that kind of player. All right, man. Hey, go ahead, real quick.
Wait, that's a question about NIL. Is there anybody else on board other than Ruiz? Right? I mean,
Yes.
Are there other people that are?
Yes, there absolutely is. There's a collective. Most of the people involved in it are trying to stay behind the scenes. They don't want to be public like John Ruiz. And you've probably noticed that John Ruiz has been a lot less public himself lately. They're figuring out that, NIL, you need to just take care of your business and not put on a show. I think you've seen that adjustment. I think you've seen that adjustment made.
I know he doesn't want to bid up for some of these kids, but, with the way we're playing, if they don't, up the ante, I don't think we're going to get some of these elites.
Well, they're going to have to, and they know it. And wait till you see what goes on in the month of December, man. I mean, the month of December is they've been using the term Wild Wild West. This is going to be the Wild Wild Northeast, South, and West in December. Because you're going to have kids whose values are going to go up. You're going to have kids whose values are going to go down. There's going to be decommits. There's going to be new commits. The guys are going to come out of nowhere and be interested in schools. There's going to be a lot of action in December, and the schools that manage it the best are going to be the happiest when you get to the signing day.
I think Miami fans should cheer that Oregon runs the table, because I think that could be a good recruiting tool for Mario, saying, hey, look at the team I put together over there. Look what they did, and that's with Oregon, a lot of Oregon kids out there. And if I get Miami talent, that's what's going to happen here. So I think we should all cheer that Oregon, kick some ass this year, because I think he can use that as a recruiting tool. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, not everything helps. I don't think that's going to tip the scales on any of these recruitments, but it certainly doesn't hurt anything. All right, man. Hey, thank you for being part of the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, in the YouTube comments, my man Al Dorbeling is telling everybody, hit your like buttons. Yes, please do. Hit your like button. Hit your subscribe button. Helps us with the algorithms at YouTube, and we appreciate it. James Welford is saying the TVD has put Gaddis in a pickle. That 500 yards is all the evidence you need to say that Gaddis is useless. His lousy offense lost the day at Texas A&M and Middle Tennessee. I mean, it was his offense that they threw for 500 yards. So I don't know if that argument really carries any salt. But we'll debate Josh Gaddis at a different time and place. 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let me see. I think now I am going to the The 954. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Hello.
That's you.
We at the right place.
That's you, man. Who's this?
This is Bill. This is Bill Kane, a many years person watching UM.
Oh, thank you, man.
Let me start with. Yeah, no problem. Let me start with, I think, common sense question. Why are you in the shotgun on the 1 yard line? Why?
That's everybody in football. I don't understand it either.
No, okay, let me just, it'll take a little while, but let me explain. Okay. So, if you're in the shotgun, the quarterback gets the ball at the 3, probably 2.5, 3. The running back has to go to the quarterback to get the ball. Meanwhile, the lines are blocking, the defense is starting to penetrate, or you have to, put it up a little bit. But if you go under center, the quarterback's on the line of scrimmage, the running backs are maybe the 2 at the most. There, all you have to do is fire off, the running back runs straight, the quarterback turns to the right and gives them the friggin' ball. They don't have to blow anybody off the line. They don't have to. Why, to me, is it ridiculous to run on the 1 yard line that type of offense? I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. I don't understand it.
Well, I think they have more confidence in the blocking than you do, but it's not working out so well the last few weeks.
What I'm saying is the blind doesn't have to block that much better if their back is right on the line and the quarterback is right under the center. He's not receiving the ball at the 3 yard line and has to give it to him back. That's wasting time. And meanwhile, the defensive line may be penetrating. When you're right at the line of scrimmage and the quarterback is the line of scrimmage and a running back right behind him, that is so much easier to score. You're already at a disadvantage if you catch the ball at the 3 yard line and the back is behind the quarterback. So now the line's got to block for a longer time and get a better push. When you're at the 1 yard line, you're the quarterback at the line of scrimmage and the running back right behind him. You just turn to the right, let the running back just have to go there. He just runs full speed right to the ball. I mean, that is so basic. Why is there, the guys making millions of dollars, that's pretty basic, man. I mean, why would you run?
You could say that about almost every offensive coordinator in football on this issue.
Huh?
You could say that about almost every offensive coordinator in football on this issue. I don't disagree with you at all. Like I don't understand being in the shotgun on goal line offense, but.
And I'm like you, that quarterback sneak, that was the only time they were on it. Do it again. He's no little guy.
Yep. Yeah. You had, I think, 2 more opportunities to 3 more opportunities, I believe, to do it again. So.
3.
Yeah.
3.
Yep.
But I just don't understand why anybody, I don't care who they are, these guys are supposed to know everything. I've been watching football for 63 years, UM games. I started when I was 10 years old, walking to the Orange Bowl. Okay? And anybody that puts the quarterback at the 3 yard line to receive the ball, to give it to his handoff, and the ball's at the 1, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. It's much easier when the quarterback's on the line of scrimmage, the running back's right behind him. The line doesn't have to block. That's great to get, because he's right there. It's all a waste. I don't get it. Why are these guys, why doesn't anybody do it anymore? I don't understand this. I really don't.
All right, man. Well, thank you for being part of the show. Give us a call again next week. I'm just got a bunch of callers here. I'm trying to get through everybody. So give us a call next week. Appreciate it. Yep. All right, we're going to go back out again to the 954. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's going on, Gary?
Doing good. Who's this?
This is a Stone Crowd Willie.
All right, man. What's going on? Big season starting up. This weekend.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I will agree with that for the morning show. In my opinion, I don't think I agree. Obviously, Tyler Van Dyke's a great quarterback, but at the same time, with his record as a starter in 8-9 games, he's 500. He has 0 quality wins. I don't see the downside, and then you start a game, get a little more burn.
to see what you got.
Well,
see if it looks like you're trying to get the crap or
listen, I'm as big a Jake Garcia fan as anybody. I think I love the kid. He's a great kid, great personality, very good quarterback. I've watched a lot of practice the last couple of years, and what I saw was two kids that a little over a year ago were pretty much neck and neck. And when Tyler got the opportunity to play, that was a big deal. Like, he got a lot of game experience, had a lot of success in college football, throwing the ball, had 6 straight 300-yard games. You saw what he's capable of. He had a 500-yard game last week. I don't think that because there's an offense change and a new coordinator and everything's new and nothing's working in sync around him, and maybe the play calling, is good at times, not good at times, or whatever, that you take a kid with that kind of talent and you just shelve his career. Now, this is not coming together in a neat, tidy package. I mean, in the great, neat, tidy package, Tyler's the quarterback this year. He has a great season. He goes into the NFL draft. They draft him in the first round. Jake Garcia becomes the quarterback at Miami and has the job for the next couple of years, while Jaden Rashada, Emory Williams, and Ja'Cory Brown battle it out behind him and try to develop. So that was the master plan. I don't know it's going to work out that way, and we'll see what happens. But I can tell you that right now, Jake would go in and be an adequate quarterback. There's no question about it in my mind. Is he as good as Tyler right now? We don't know, and I don't think he's shown that in practice to the point where the coaches have been willing to make a move that drastic with Tyler Van Dyke. It wouldn't be treating Tyler Van Dyke fairly. I mean, he didn't just lose his talent suddenly.
No, I agree, and a couple other things in regards to Mario. For one, I 100% give him a pass this year because, for one, he's the coach for a reason. They fired Andy for a reason. I mean, the guy was an atrocious coach. You look at our roster, as you mentioned, we basically self-imposed the program with his inept recruiting. So I don't care what type of coaching staff you put around. I mean, in my opinion, 65 to 70% of this roster would not be a normal crystal ball roster when he really gets his claws and starts rebuilding the relationship and starts getting a full recruiting class from the get-go under what he inherited. I don't think both these guys would be starting. They're not hurricane material. As you mentioned, you look at our best starting quarterback. This guy normally would be a starter under a crystal ball team, but we have no choice. That's how lack of talent, in my opinion, we have. So it doesn't matter.
Wait, you're saying Van Dyke would only start on a crystal ball team? Is that what you're saying?
I would say that 65% of this roster, in my opinion, would not be crystal ball recruits.
Oh, I hear you.
Overall.
Yeah, you're talking about the roster overhaul. Yeah, I'm with you. And you're going to see a lot of upheaval, man. Like, there's going to be a lot of transfer portal action again this year. There's no doubt about it.
Right, which is the regard why, as great as a staff I think we have, is why we keep losing these same game, 2 or 3 game losing streaks, because no matter what, it's the same roster from last year, but even more depleted. It's not a good roster.
You know what? They find a way to lose games. Okay, I mean, just look at these games. All 3 of them. Texas A&M. You drop a punt. You miss 2 field goals. Okay, that there alone is the difference in the game. Middle Tennessee. You don't show up at all. Okay. The offense gives 2 gifts early in the game. You can recover from that. Okay, that was 10 points. They could have recovered from that. But you're going to recover from that? And 4 cheap, easy touchdowns on bombs? There's no chance you're recovering from that, or very little chance. So they find ways to lose games. This past weekend, same deal. 2 more cheap scores in a 3-point game. A fumble by Rooster. I mean, Rooster's supposed to be, the guys that are screwing up are supposed to be among the best players on the team. What are you going to do?
I agree. It looked like Rooster, it looked like he was about to, literally use the fumble it. It looked like he was about to have a good chance of running for a touchdown. The good teams find ways to win. We're not a good team, which is why we don't win. No,
They're finding ways to lose instead of finding ways to win. This could be an undefeated team right now, even in the state that it is in. This could be Ole Miss. That's it. You think Ole Miss is really a 6-0 team, or like an undefeated? No, but they're finding ways to win their games, while Miami is finding ways to lose their games.
I agree, and I'll leave it this last note. Now, the one thing that is a little discouraging, the one thing if you look at this roster or this team versus the last couple years, we always, no matter what, we're always playing from behind. Like you said, we always start slow. We're always playing from behind, and then it takes a quarter or two for us to, for whatever reason, turn the light switch on. So being that obviously it's the same players, two different coaching staffs, is this more on the players or is this more on the coaching right now, being that regardless, we keep starting slow and we're always from behind? And I'll leave you with that.
I don't think you can pick one or the other. I think it's a group effort, and I think they jointly got to take the blame for that. Would be, my opinion on that. All right, let me see here. J.R. Barr in the YouTube comments says, but it's okay to shelve Garcia's career. How are you shelving Jake Garcia's career? Okay, you're not shelving his career at all. He is a redshirt freshman. Okay, he still has plenty of eligibility left, whether he stays at Miami or ends up in the transfer portal and goes somewhere else. You're not shelving his career at all. It was unfortunate what happened to him last year. He did not get the chance to compete and potentially win the job over Tyler. And Tyler ran with it. And give Tyler credit, man. Tyler took his game to a whole nother level. And, right now it's Tyler's time. Okay, Jake's time is going to come either here or somewhere else. So you're not shelving his career. I can pretty confidently assure you of that. All right, let's go to the 901. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hi, Gary. How you doing?
Doing great. Who's this?
This is Alex out of Memphis.
What's up, man? What you got for us tonight?
Well, first of all, I want to address a couple of things that have been said. Number one, people have talked about the lack thereof of talent on this team. By 247, this is the 13th most talented team in the nation, and they're just not playing up to that standard. They have talent.
They have talent, but they don't have elite game-shaping talent, okay? And the talent they have is not performing at the level that it needs to perform for them to win all these games. And all those examples I just gave are absolute good examples of that. It's the best players on the team that are screwing up.
Right. Now, to me, the question is, well, why is the talent playing up to that level? And to me, it's a really simple answer staring everybody in the face that nobody wants to admit to. And I've heard a couple callers and yourself kind of tiptoe around it. 6 head coaches in 18 years. That's why this team is playing like it is.
Part of the reason?
3 head coaches in the last 5 years, 3 offensive coordinators in the past 4 years, 3 defensive coordinators in the past 3 years.
Yeah,
No team can succeed that way.
No, that's part of the reason. I think you got a head coach now that's going to be here for a while, so that's a good thing.
Well, I completely agree, because now, no matter how much the fan base whines and cries over it, he's not going to get fired over it because they're not paying that money.
No, there's no reason for anybody.
And I think that's what. I think that's part of the problem, because for all the Manny Diaz hate, people tend to forget that the fan base wanted him. But then
The fan base did not want Manny Diaz. Never was anybody saying Manny Diaz had to be the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. That was all Blake James.
Well, there was a lot of it on social media from the fan base. I'll put it that way.
I don't think so. I don't agree with that.
And irregardless, I heard it from him, especially here on YouTube. Oh, it was really thick on YouTube. And then a lot of people that wanted him got surprised after he got hired when he acted like he had never been a head coach before. Well, of course he hadn't. And I think that is the problem, and that's why this program is in the shape that it's in, is the unrealistic expectations of the fan base.
No.
I think people.
I talked about that at the beginning of the show. There is nothing wrong with the expectations coming into this season. Miami absolutely had and will continue to have an opportunity to win every single game they play. Okay, so if you have an opportunity, listen. If you have an opportunity to win every single game you play, then it is more than fair for the fans to want to win every game. And you're probably not going to win every game, obviously. Very few teams do. But there is nothing wrong with the fan base wanting to win every game, hoping to win every game, and believing that Miami can win every game because they can. I mean, there's nobody they're playing that is so out of this world unbeatable. And, I mean, even the top teams in the country, like Alabama, should have lost the other day to Texas A&M, which Miami certainly was on a level playing field with Texas A&M, and Alabama should have lost to them. And people make excuses. Oh, they're playing with their backup quarterback. Alabama has the best recruiting class in the country every single year. They recruit a quarterback every year. I know their Heisman Trophy winner was out, but I guarantee you their number 2 is pretty darn good. And I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I'm sure there was lots of stuff that happened in the game. I think they had a few fumbles or whatever. But the point I'm making is nobody's playing anybody that is so out of this world insurmountable that they don't go into the game with a chance to win. So no, the expectations are fine. Teams got to play better.
Well, and I completely agree. The teams got to play better, but that's not the argument I'm making. How many teams can you think of that go from 7-5 one year to a 10, 11, 12 win team the next year?
Not many.
Never.
No, there's usually incremental steps that need to be made, no doubt.
And that's exactly because you see it plenty of times.
Yes.
Kirby Smart walked into a vastly talented team and went 7-5 with it his first year.
Yeah, if Miami could somehow go 8-4, 7-5 this year, at this point, I think you got to consider that a win. Let's take it 1 week at a time. You got to win these next 3 for sure, and then worry about November.
Well, and that's exactly how I'm taking it. And I'll leave you with this. I'm not much of an X's and O's guy, but I've been watching college football and Miami consistently for over 20 years. And I said this on another YouTube show when it happened, and people didn't want to hear it until they went and looked it up. The vast majority of the time, what happens when you bring in an entirely new coaching staff, you tend to have a worse record than you did the year before.
Yeah.
I'll go back to Kirby Smart in Georgia as that example.
They got to learn the personnel. They got to instill their culture. It's a big job, man. No doubt. All right, hey, thank you for being part of the show. Give us a call again next week, okay? I got 3 more guys I want to try to fit in here. I'm going to go a little overtime and try to get them in. So give us a call next week.
Yes.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show. J.R. Barr's at it again, man, on the YouTube comments. Why not add packages for Jake? Now, what is the point of that? Jake and Tyler are very similar quarterbacks. There's no package for Jake. And Jake adds a big threat with his legs? Not really. I mean, Ja'Cory Brown would. You want to put a package in, put one in for Ja'Cory if that's what you want. If you want a quarterback to run around, he would be the guy to do that with. But Jake and Tyler are pretty much the same guy in that regard. So that is not necessary. All right, let's go to 904. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hello?
Yes, sir. That's you. Who's this?
This is Stephon.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Stephon? What do you got for us, man?
Hey, I was just wondering, Camp last week game, Carol Kitchen was, messing up. What's going on with Avante Williams? Why they won't play him more?
The problem that you're seeing with the guys that are playing, I think, is a bigger problem with Avante, quite frankly. Reliability, being able to put him out there and know that he's going to do the right things and hold up or whatever. And it just seems like he's a little bit out of favor right now for, whatever reason. And the truth is the love affair with Avante is very typical of what I was talking about earlier. Like, what and I wish the best for Avante, and I hope he develops into a great player. But what has he done at the University of Miami to warrant people in the community, in the fan base or whatever, just assuming that he should be on the field right now? I mean, that is a big problem in the whole culture of Miami football that I see. There's just way too much smoke being blown on way too many guys who don't come in and work hard enough and earn their place and earn their reputation. A guy makes a big hit and it's just assumed that he is the next superstar safety. Well, trust me, nobody's playing so great that they're looking to hold anybody back. Even James, Kinchin screwed up last week. Even James Williams is he changing any games? I mean, he's doing okay, but he's.
That was my next question about him, because I see him miss a lot of tackles. And, I remember that guy, I can't remember his name, he's from Virginia. He was talking about it the week before, 2 weeks ago. He was like, James Williams is 5-star, and I sat there and just really looked at him and watched him. It was a one play, he could have made a tackle for a 2-yard loss, and the guy got the first down. I don't know if you remember that play, but it was like in the first or second quarter. And I was like, he's absolutely right. He don't make plays.
He's not changing any games. He's not making a difference in winning and losing. So, they're not holding anybody back, trust me. And PF in the YouTube comments makes the point, no way this team is number 13 in the country in talent. And with all respects to the people that do those rankings, I can assure you there is no way this team right now is number 13 in the country in talent.
No, that was right. But one other thing I want to get to, I totally agree with you about the rotations, especially on defense. Those two the two transfers from UCLA, those two guys, especially number 40, I think his name is Johnson. That guy need to play more, because that guy he's pretty good. Along with
that's one of the ones I've been a little surprised about. I thought he would be rise to the top very quickly. I don't understand why he doesn't play more. But I know they've been pretty happy with Corey Flagg, as hard as that is to believe. I mean, Corey Flagg apparently is doing a lot of things right out there, and
he do good. I like him, but the two transfers from UCLA, they really do play. They really been balling. But like you said, they got too many guys playing. Maybe they should knock it down to maybe about 4 guys. I don't know, but they got a lot of rotation, and they don't get enough time to get in there and get a rhythm of,
I mean, I haven't seen Messidor on an IV after a game yet. I remember seeing Dan Morgan on an IV at halftime of a Florida State game. I mean, we used to play big games, and half the team would be on IVs at halftime in the locker room. I don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody so exhausted that they can't handle more reps. So me watching, observing, that would be one of the adjustments that I would suggest for the second half of the season. Identify your best players, give them more reps, have them on the field more.
Oh, yeah, and this is the last thing I wanted to address. I know Jacoby George and the other guy, I can't remember his name right now, number 7. But those two guys, and Young and Lassie, they probably the 4 best guys on that roster, parts on receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to play a lot more.
Well, they are.
They need to play them guys a lot more.
They are, but I don't know that any of those guys is changing the game either. They're players.
Yeah, they play. One other thing I want to ask you about. Do you agree with Gaddis being the receiver coach and the offensive coordinator? Would have made more sense for them to get a receiver coach so he ain't got to be handling 2 duties like this?
He's got a couple guys helping with the receivers. A couple analysts and GAs. Listen, I prefer the offensive coordinator coaching the quarterbacks because of what it entails. But I'm not in there every day seeing the interaction between Gaddis and Frank Ponce and the quarterbacks and how they're all working together. So it's hard for me to comment on that. If you ask me what my preference would be, it would be that the offensive coordinator coach the quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's what I agree on. But hey, I ain't making a decision. So, but I just want to let everybody know, hey, this ain't nothing to be panicking about. This team's gonna be fine in the future. Yep. So I don't want everybody to be, panicking. They gonna be fine.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for being part of the show.
All right, thank you.
Let's go to the 352. You're live on CaneSport Live. 352, you with us? Going once, twice, three times. All right, final call of the night. Let's go to the 786. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, my friend, how are you?
Hey, what's up, everything? I'm used to you at the beginning, not the end, but take us home, man. What you got?
Yeah, busy. But hey, listen, I just wanted real quick to extend well wishes to Mike Duquesne. I hope tomorrow everything will go with the surgery and recovery, so hang in there, man. Hopefully, Kane's going to win for you on Saturday. But, Gary, real quick, not even going to talk about last weekend. I am hoping that we start the game on offense the same way we ended this past game. And what I mean by that is last week we tried the first three possessions, we tried to stick to the run, make a run, everything coming emanating from the run. I hope it's the other way around. We've talked about this throughout the last couple of weeks. This team, you've got to play to the ability and strength and skill set, and that's throwing the ball. It's not the other way around. And I think that they finally bought in. They had to buy in. That's the only way we can compete. And hopefully they won't be so stubborn that they're going to always start the game trying to make sure they get the run going. Because every possession counts, Gary. You can't take anything for granted, regardless of what DNA you want, regardless of what identity you want to have, but what you do have, isn't consistent with that. You've got to make those changes. And I just hope up in Blacksburg on Saturday that we start the game that way offensively. And the last thing is, you look at the matchups. Listen, you look at Votek's defensive stats, Gary, team defensive stats. They're top 10 off categories. So this is not going to be a cakewalk. I know they gave up a ton of yardage on the ground to Pitt. But when you look at Pitt's offensive line and our offensive line, they're nowhere close to being similar to each other. So their pressure packages that coach brings in, I know you look at Penn State for a while. I mean, look for a lot of different games. But every time that we try to go to a condensed formation or a compact formation, that gives the defense more opportunities to be more creative and more aggressive with the blitz in the confined space. So hopefully we do stay spread. We don't go to those confined sets, because that's been really when we've been exploited. And he's always done that. Gaddis has done that on third and fourth down line. That's something we've got to get away from, especially early on. So I just hope we continue to play that way. We look at our strength. I would say our defensive line is our strength, and that's going to match up well with Votek's offensive line. I think our defense will play a little bit safer, and we should be able to keep things in front and make that quarterback make really, really good plays inside the red zone. Do that, you hold them. I think it'll be a close game, but again, I don't see our offense throwing for 500 yards again. Votek's a much better defense, Gary.
All right, everything. Got to just find a way to win. I don't care how it happens. Just gotta find a way this week and get things back on track.
Well, I am predicting that Keyshawn Smith big time return on specials, so I am predicting that, Gary.
All right, man. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, be well.
Thanks for being part of the show. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for calling in, participating. Hope you enjoyed the show. Program note, tomorrow night, we got the Lamar Thomas show. Lamar's putting together a good guest list for that, so hope you'll be able to join us tomorrow night for the Lamar Thomas show. Tomorrow morning, Good Morning CaneSport, and we'll march onward from there as we work the week and get ready for the weekend. So thanks once again for listening tonight, and we'll see you next time, everybody.